have that part. Great. Thank you very much. And that way, anybody, that we're being recorded, and it's just for this group right here. So thank you very much. Andrea, then Kathy. Andrea Susan Glass, best-selling author and book coach. TalkToAndrea.com. I love it. Well done. Good branding and marketing with that.
Thank you. I've been in business since 2000 as a ghostwriter and a copy editor, and I teach for the University of California, the Extended Studies program, and I'm also a nonfiction book coach. The two books I published a few years ago were your fabulous first book, How to Write with Clarity, Confidence, and Connection, and my fabulous first book, A Workbook Companion. Presently, I'm working on a book about how to build a business around your book, and I teach the class for UCSD in the creative writing, how to build a business around writing, because I think that once you have a book or anything published, you're in business and you need to treat it that way. So that's kind of what I'm all about.
All right. Well, I will tell you secretly, I might know a guy who's creating a program called the Author Business School. And so maybe he'll reach out to you after this call. And that's why I always make sure I know what people are working on. Fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that. Kathy, then Carolyn.
I am coming to you from Carlsbad. I've got 4 published novels, 2 women's fiction, a thriller, and mystery, female sleuth one. And next month I publish the second in the mystery series, and then I'm currently working on the third in series.
Congratulations to you. Really well done. And it's not exactly the Eagles, but I see behind you, it's another tequila midnight. Most of us know the song goes a different way. Why Tequila Midnight?
So the novel is set on the El Paso Juarez border, and the female protagonist is kind of a broken character, drinks way too much, and has vices.
Yes.
So it just is a very fitting title for that novel.
Beautiful. Beautiful. I love margaritas, so you had me at tequila. Well done. Well played. All right. Carolyn, then Luis, and then we'll do Elizabeth and Bob after that. So Carolyn, you have something coming up, but please, where are you at? And what's the book that you have?
Okay, I'm in La Jolla, California. I've done several books, but they're all around communication and business. This one I'm working on now falls into the memoir and religion category. It's called, let's see, From Religion to Reason, How a Church Lady Went from God to Good. And I think I told you earlier that I'm now getting ready to, I think, publish it on Amazon. I'm looking for a book design and a website and the final touches to get it ready to go.
Well done. I acknowledge you for that work and for putting your toes into the water of the spiritual domain, the religious domain as well. And so, yes, I'm sure that we'll find you somebody you could connect with within this community to help you with what you're working on. Thank you for that, Carolyn. Luis, then Elizabeth. Yeah, hit that mute button. Hit that unmute button, Luis.
How's that?
Beautiful. I got you.
Sorry about that. I was hearing you loud and clear. But anyway, I recently moved to California. I came from Florida, and before that, I lived in Cleveland, Ohio. I was born in Puerto Rico, so I came from a limited English-speaking background. My book that I'm working on is titled Year of Survival, The Nightmare Life of a Cat Marine. Cat Marines were basically a little-known special operations unit in Vietnam. There was 11 or 12 Marines and a Navy corpsman, and we lived with the villagers. We ambushed at night, patrolled during the day, and survived. During that time, I kept a diary in 1970. And so I'm basing this book on that diary and my stories of events that took place. I've had to get deal with the fear, doubt, and indecision in life in order to get where I'm at right now. But I'm slowly but surely working at it. I can say it's been 50 years to produce this, and I haven't produced it yet. But I'm excited to be with all of you and hear where you come from, what you've done, and to be a part of this organization.
So good. So good. Thank you for your service. What I really look forward to seeing that book out in the world and what you're going to be doing with it. That is fantastic, Luis. Let's see. So I got two over here, Elizabeth and Bob. Go ahead.
Okay.
Who'd like to go first?
I'm
All right.
also from Ohio, Columbus. As a matter of fact, Ohio Dominican University just accepted 4 of my books and a letter from President Biden as part of their permanent library.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah, and then this book, Flourishing, just won an award for inspiration. And it's a bilingual book in English and French, although we also do Spanish, of classical poetry. And Bob is also a poet. We met at the library and we just got married, and he'll tell you about his book.
Oh, wonderful. Wow.
We went on a
Just got married.
Yeah.
Wait, did you sneak that in there? You crazy kids? You went to Vegas and got hooked up? What?
Well, actually, we went to the county recorder's office.
Oh, even simpler. Good for you. Well done. Okay, Bob, what about you? What's your book?
Yeah, we are in San Diego, yes. And my book is one that I've been working on for a while. In 2020, we did the perfectly timed cruise. We got shut down by COVID. And so what was supposed to be a little booklet of poems, one for each port we visited, turned into Poetry, Piracy, and Pandemics.
Oh my gosh.
It's a book of poetry still, but it's also the account of our trip.
So good. Poetry, pirates, and pandemics. Wow.
Yeah, that pretty well described the trip. We ran it in the Gulf of Oman. We were buzzed, although not attacked precisely, by a pirate boat. And of course, we did get shut down.
So good. Thank you for that, Bob. And what a fun story. I'll see if we can get some shares out of that. And if you don't see me looking at the camera for a moment, as a former teacher, 15 years, I was the curriculum writer and course developer at the Los Angeles Zoo High School. I used to go down to SeaWorld quite often. I worked with the marine mammal team down there. I would go to the SeaWorld Institute. My background is evolutionary biology. That's where my academia is. So I like paper to, or pencil to paper. So if I'm not looking, I'm not texting my friends what's happening with Katie Ledecky in the swim. I'm taking notes so I can make sure that I speak into what it is that you've done, what I hear, and to make sure I contribute back to the group that moves you forward. So just wanted you to know that part. Dave, this is your opportunity to introduce yourself as a participant, please. And then it'll go Dave, then Penn Wallace, and then Susan.
Oh, you're calling on me to do this?
Yeah,
right?
as
okay.
a participant.
5 books. They're all in self-publishing support. Everything from setting up your own imprint to a comprehensive guide, a workbook for people who are launching their book the first time. So the series is called Countdown to Book Launch. Just got a trademark last year, and the big book, so to speak, is called Before the Launch. It's 208 pages, spiral bound, and represents everything you need to know to self-publish on Ingram Spark and Amazon KDP.
Wow.
And I'm speaking
Wonderful.
to Carlsbad.
So I'll put here, let me get that program. Of course. Beautiful. Dave, thank you for the work that you do. I'm sure there's many people you're helping to get out there to get their work in the world. Penn Wallace, is it Penn? Is it Wallace? Yeah, that old mute button.
There, I'm unmuted.
There you go.
Hi, I am Penn Wallace. I've published 15 books. Most of them are mysteries and thrillers. Here's the latest of the mysteries and thrillers. which is about a POW that was not released after Vietnam, and our heroes have to go back and find him 50 years later. All my books are based on true stories,
Wow.
except my latest book, and it is The Pirate and the Princess. And it's totally off from anything else I've ever written. But I had a tremendous amount of fun writing it. And we just had the book launch. I think was it last week, Andrea? Yeah, thank you very much, by the way, Andrea, for showing up. But we just had the book launch
A
and
couple of weeks ago,
2 weeks.
yeah, on a Saturday, yeah.
Yeah.
Great
okay,
job. Great job.
Anyway, we had a great lot of fun.
Now, let me ask you this real quick, Penn. Are you a veteran yourself, or is the story told on behalf of?
I'm sorry, say that again.
Are you a veteran yourself, or you tell the story on behalf of?
On behalf of.
Okay,
one of my favorite reviews said something about this is a terrific story. It could only have been written by someone that's been there. And so that really made me feel good.
Yeah. Yeah, very good. And you know, what comes to mind as I hear that is Stallone never served, but yet he did the deep work of understanding the psyche, the psychographics of veterans, and look what he did with First Blood, and continue to make, you know, not only was it action, but his commitment to the character, John Rambo, was always carried through that story arc. So you keep writing as that inspires you. Very good. Appreciate that work there. Susan, Linda, and Caroline, and then we'll jump into action, because I think that will, or and then Arnelia, you'll be our last one. Okay, Miss Susan.
That means me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Well, my name is Susan Banks. I publish under the name of Susan F. Banks, because Susan Banks is a pretty common name. I write in the genres of magical realism and urban fantasy. I write about a woman who was born with severely incapacitatingly sensitive hearing, gets recruited by a woman in LA who calls herself the guardian of the gate in the city. All my books are set in LA. I don't live there, but that's where they're set. And I have a trilogy published called Red Souls of the Underworld, which describes how this woman with the hearing disability manages to get out of her bedroom, where she has hidden all her life, from loud noise, and her and her sister moved to California and joined this woman in fighting what we would say breaches of the gate.
Wow, very good, Susan. Really great work. And I hear the creativity in there that you have as well. And I'm up in Los Angeles. I hope nothing from the other side breaches the gate. Reminds me of Stranger Things that plays on Netflix. So really well done. And thank you. Magical realism. I think we all did that when we were kids, right? And then somewhere in there, we stopped doing that, and our creativity got stuffed to relegated to after during the afternoon.
My stories are based on my own personal experiences with lucid dreaming. So
wow, that is fantastic, Susan. Thank you. Very interesting. We'll dive into that maybe another time. Linda, then Caroline, please. And Linda, I see a Rottweiler on the cover of your book. There we go.
This is my book, the Do No Harm Dog Training and Behavior Handbook, featuring the hierarchy of dog needs, which is a graph that I have created to help pet parents. I am currently speaking on the book. I have an invitation, my first invitation, to speak in London. So yeah, it's really big deal. I have an 85,000 member Facebook group. I'm having difficulty marketing my book. So what Andrea was talking about, author business, I self-published. And so I just feel really lost. I've done about 15 podcasts for free, and it's just an enormous amount of work, and it's just not getting me the leverage that I'm looking for. I was really, and I love your background, Chris, evolutionary biology. I have a master's in psychology with research in behavioral neurobiology. And I've done ethograms at the zoo with the bonobos. And I used to be just totally bio nerd.
Here's a picture of me. Can you see that one right there?
I do.
Okay,
I do.
so let me get the glare up.
What is that? I'm sorry.
So I'll get it closer. That's Charlie.
That's your dog.
That's me. I'm 27 at that time. I went to Moore Park College, School for Exotic Animal Training and Management. I've trained lions, tigers, bears. Oh my. I worked for the studios for about 3 or 4 years. I got to work with Danny DeVito, Priscilla Presley. I worked with Slash, who is the guitarist from Motley Crue, Guns N' Roses. And that is how I met my son's mother. She was also an animal trainer. So our son's name is Noah, because what else does two animal trainers name their son but Noah? And and part of why I'm sharing this part too, not only get related with you, is that work that I did inside of animal training and wildlife conservation. I would write the programming and then I would choreograph the show so the animals would show up at certain times. That was why I also went to SeaWorld. I was learning from some of the trainers there. And then that catapulted me to go on to become the science department chair and curriculum writer at the Los Angeles Zoo High School. So talking about animal training, I also did the work, the search and rescue teams with the Oklahoma City bombing team, San Bernardino's team, and New York's. And that was some of the most rewarding experiences I've ever had. So we will talk after, Linda. I might know something. And and why I have you guys share is you are a wealth of information. Sometimes we forget that the $1 million, we'll even just say the $10,000 that we're looking for is in your community, or it's in the connections, it's in the conversations that you have with people. And one of the things that I'm jumping forward in the talk I wanted to give, but I really work to interrupt the muscle of the introvert, the muscle of the silo that we work in as writers, and get back to having that little extrovert in us go out and talk to people unabashedly about the gifts, the talents, and the expertise that we have. And if we don't do that, we'll be the best kept secrets all the way to our grave. And I think it was Samuel Clemens who said, there's the library of best kept secrets is a cemetery. So I don't want that to be true for us. So thank you so much, Linda. And we will talk 100%.
If I just may add,
please.
So my book has 18 pages of scientific citations, and I've just realized that suddenly I am in over 200 universities and college libraries. Somebody got wind of what I was doing, trying to be the catalyst between research, pet parents, and trainers. But my work has just begun. So I'm so glad to you. Thank you.
You are welcome. And also what I'm doing is I'm writing some main bullet points about themes behind what you're all sharing that I'm going to make sure we touch on to. Okay, final stretch here. Carolyn, and then Ornelia, and that'll wrap us up. That's beautiful. Thank you. Oh, and MA did a jump. He jumped back. I see you, MA. You were just off camera. I got you. Okay, Caroline.
Yes, I'm living in San Diego. I've written 3 history books and working on the 6th in a series of novels about a character named Anne O'Malley. My first one is Quest for the Ivory Caribou. I don't know if you can see that.
Yes, right there.
Anyway, and 2 of those are published. I have the 3rd one ready to publish. I just haven't done it yet. And just been a heck of a lot of fun. Anne is sort of a modern day Perils of Pauline. She's a 60-year-old widow in San Diego who is stuck in depression, and her best friend says, I don't care what you do, you're going to do something. So she goes to Canada to do genealogical research and finds out that she's related to a village of Inuit in northern Quebec. So she decides to go there to find out what this means in her life. And that just mushrooms out into a whole lot of adventures and some love.
Great job, Caroline. Great job. Good for you. And well done in taking on the fiction of that story and making it real.
Everybody asks me if that's the autobiography, and I say no, but I wish it was. She has a lot of fun.
You know, the sandbox and books allow us to be different people.
Yeah.
Right. We just played with them differently at different times of our life journey. Miss Ornelia.
Could I mention one more thing? And that is I have a website, and if anybody wants to look at it, it's my name. The spelling is a little funny on my name, but it's CarolineMcCulloughAuthor.com.
Very good. And one of the things we're going to do, Caroline, thank you for doing that, is I'm also going to talk about how to better introduce our book so we're not forcing it in there when the listening isn't ready for it. Because that's one of the things we like. We're so excited. We want people to know. But if we don't actually place it in, just like when we were doing a 5-course meal, if we get dessert at the beginning and we're not ready for it, we don't know how to work with it. Right. So that was a great example. I will make sure everybody gets the opportunity to put in where how we could find one another before this event is complete. And Dave and I will make sure that if you put in your email address, that this gets back and everybody here, we could follow up, connect with one another as well. Yeah, beautiful. Thank you so much. Ornelia, and then M.A. Richter, and then we're complete. And then we are getting this plane flying. And you're on mute, Ornelia. Almost.
Okay, this should work.
Perfect.
Thank you. I'm actually calling in from a cabin in the mountains.
Which mountains?
It's up in the Cuyamaca Mountains, and so we're off grid, and the internet is a little bit sketchy.
Well, thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you for doing this. And actually, this is the location where my latest book is set. This is Refuge on the Mountain. And this cabin, it's a survival sanctuary after a global blackout, which we just had this May. Do you remember when we had the big geomagnetic storm? And that's the premise of this book. And so that's why it has also the Aurora Borealis. So this is my 5th one in a series of Vega Stern mysteries. And my name is actually Cornelia. And I added type that in quickly. I'm also a publisher and Constellation Press since 2016. So indie publisher, and we've published about 50 books since then.
Beautiful. Congratulations to you. And thanks for the work that you do. Thank you, Cornelia. And make sure you put your information in the chat right now, just in case the powers that be pull you off the grid one more time. We know how to find you.
Okay.
All right. M.A. Richter, close this out so I could get this altitude cruising speed.
Sure. My name is Mark. I live in Oceanside. I came here by way of San Diego, Orlando, Great Lakes, Wisconsin, and I grew up in Ann Arbor, Michigan, although I was born in Washington, D.C. So I've been around a little bit. I have one book that I've published. I self-published it on Amazon and Ingram Spark. It's called, oh, that's tricky, Mystic Prince. And the cover is my background, which makes it a bit difficult. I have 6 books in this series. This one's a standalone, and it's the first one that introduces the characters. The first 3 of which are a single complete epic story. That was how I thought when I started writing, so I came up with this vast story. It's a fantasy adventure with an overarching love story and an underlying theme of healing abuse. And I'm working to get the second one published. And like I said, there are 4 more in the pipeline after that. And I also have an author homepage, which I will put in the chat.
Well done.
I don't really like it. I'm looking for suggestions to improve it or a better place to host it.
You got it.
That's my story.
Really well done. And it's just so I got it. It's a sci-fi love story.
Fantasy adventure.
Fantasy adventure. Thank
I'm
you
a
very much.
diehard Lord of the Rings fan. I also loved Narnia and Harry Potter, the Game of Thrones television show. It's funny because one of my friends who saw an early copy of my book said, "This is a lot like Game of Thrones," and he sent me a copy. I've never read it, so I had no idea what he was talking about until later when I saw it.
Yeah.
But it's along those lines as well, not as much gore.
Super great. Thank you for that. And you gave me another topic that we're going to get in here. All right.
Dave Ray raised his hand.
Dave Ray, did I
have a
not see you, Dave?
question?
Yes, no, just very quickly for Carolyn Shadle, please check the chat. I put some information in there for you about your website work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great. Yes, wonderful. All right. It's a pleasure to meet all of you and the work that you do. So who am I? And what do I do? And what's the opportunity of me being here today? Again, my name is Chris Traum. I'm the creator and developer and head coach of the Author Launchpad. What does the Author Launchpad do? Simply, the simplest way to say it is I help authors make money. And I want all of you to be able to have your statement that clear. So when you show up somewhere and someone says, well, what do you do? There's a courtesy, like on a golf. If you're a golfer, first hole, we'll shake hands with one another and we'll say, what do you do? And you want to be very clear, short, specific. Oftentimes you hear it as the elevator pitch or your 30-second. So the first way that I say is I help authors make money. The next level that I say is people ask me, well, how do you do that? I say, I help them package, market, and monetize their book expertise. And then the third way that I'll say it is I will say, hi, I'm Chris Trammell. I'm the creator, developer, and head coach of the Author Launchpad, which is a 90-day done with you, done for you program that's going to help you alleviate the text of frustration, where to start, or what to use so that you can package, market, and monetize your expertise and experience more impact, influence, and income, and do the things that you love doing. When I ask authors, one of the things that I discovered when I ask authors, what do they do? The natural draw is because we're so enthusiastic about our books, we're so enthusiastic about our stories, we go on and we try and tell everybody everything about it. And that doesn't land. You want to be able to say, I do this for this group so that they could have this experience in life. Oh, and the golden drawbridge that you're looking for from the recipient of what you just said is, tell me more. When you get tell me more, now you have permission to share everything you would like to share that they are thinking might make a difference to them. And just because they say tell me more doesn't necessarily mean they're going to become a buyer or they're going to become a reader, but you've at least engaged in a conversation that they may either say, this is a great action item for me, or I know somebody I should introduce you to. And so part of my being here today is to start to have you listen newly to the way that we have conversations with people so that you're more effective. And that inside that effectiveness, it's going to allow you to have either more conversations, which would lead to more consultations and the potential more clients. I work primarily with nonfiction authors, the personal development, the self-development, leadership, training, management, organizational teams. Those are the groups that I like to work with because as a curriculum writer, when I used to be a teacher, I would read a book, I would take just what was needed and then teach it back to my students. And in being able to do that, I now look at, okay, tell me about your life. And I look for that golden thread. And from that golden thread, I could usually spot, oh, you've been doing this since you were 10. You've been doing this since you were in high school. But one of the things that one of my coaches says, his name is Melvin Allen. And in fact, I have his book. I'll show it to you in a second. I've helped him with his book, is he says, you can't see your own eyebrows. And you can't. all the best athletes that we're going to watch for the next 2 weeks, they all have a coach pulling for them on the sidelines. But yet, as we go about our activities and we get older and we get smarter and we gain more knowledge, we forget that having someone else that is watching with a commitment to move us forward really makes that difference. So one of the other things I'm going to advocate for you to have is either a coach or a committed colleague, a training partner, if you will. You'll hear that a lot of my analogies come from the sports world. It makes a difference to me to bring that as an author performance coach, that you learn to build the muscles of effectiveness and performance. All right, so let me give you a little background, a little bit more background about myself, so I could fill out the container that I am. One of my favorite books that I read as an adult that I wish we all got to read growing up and that we took more time was How to Win Friends and Influence People. If you've never read this book, I invite you to read it. It will change the way that you articulate your story and what you do with others and how you engage with others. Absolutely. It's one of the books I'll probably write a program around. The other book, I have a very deep spiritual background. Now, I also said I'm an evolutionary biologist. Chris, how do you do that? How do you hold those two spaces? I hold them with no problem at all. One of my favorite books is the Bhagavad Gita. I found this book, it came into my life, I would say right about 2010. It is one of my favorite books to read. I will often read it before I'm working with a thought leader or a speaker out there in the world, because I'm always listening for what is that big Carl Jung collective conscious message that we're trying to get out to the world. And so I read different spiritual contexts. One of the other persons that I use as a reference is Joseph Campbell. Now, most of us all know the hero's journey, and you as your own writers probably have weaved in the hero's journey into yours. Joseph Campbell, I was very fortunate in how it started for me. Actually, I'll go back just so you get how far back I go. I love dinosaurs. I absolutely love dinosaurs. But the kid in Catholic school, whenever the nuns would jump into this one certain story, and he would raise his hand, sister, where are the dinosaurs? And I would get ignored. I would get looked over. And then again, another time, sister, where are the dinosaurs? Mr. and Mrs. Trammell, you need to come in and have a conference with your son. And that would happen over and over and over, till finally one day, beautiful Latina mother looks over at the Caucasian, blue-eyed, blonde hair husband and says, stop egging him on to ask the nuns about dinosaurs. And you, she looks right at me and says, and you'll stop harassing the nuns about dinosaurs. Read another book. And I was like, oh God, you took away my dinosaurs. So they got relegated to the backyard. What happened was after that, that little parade of kids that goes out the classroom, 3rd grade, goes to the library, grabs a new book. I remember this beautiful red covered cloth book back when they had the yellowing of pages. I opened it up and it said King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table. And I fell in love with it. And this is about 1984 or so. I'm a proud Gen Xer, but why that makes a difference is in the 80s, I had Indiana Jones. I had Rocky Balboa on the big screen. I had Arnold Schwarzenegger. I had all the action heroes who were accessible before. Oh, and then I had George Lucas with Star Wars. I had E.T. with Spielberg. Like before CGI came in and corrupted what heroes could be like on the big screen, I was watching them going, wow, look at all these heroes. And by the time I got to high school, I had an English teacher who loved classical mythology. And I just swallowed up everything she gave me. So she would give me the papers on archetypes by Carl Jung. She would give me the work by Edith Hamilton. She'd give me these deep papers by Joseph Campbell, and I loved it. But I didn't get to see the arc of what I do until I was an adult, looking back like, oh, this has been part of my collective journey the whole time. So as we go through, we may not have time today, and I'll be happy to come back another time where we could do a workshop about what has your personal journey been about. Because if you don't have it written out as what's your mission, what's your message, and what's the promise that you have for people, that's a big missing inside of your brand building. And I want to make sure that we have an opportunity to touch on that. So I told you about Melvin. This is Melvin Allen. His is called the Allen Method. 4 alchemical, what does it say? 4 alchemical steps for creating, sustaining, lasting, and loving relationships. Right about 2010, I had a business. I was licensed by all 5 branches of the United States military, as well as 10 different universities. I was creating holiday decor. I was in over my head. I was a science teacher, but I had an idea. And finally, I'm just burning out. He says, Chris, you want to stop sweating the small stuff? I said, whatever you say to do, Mel, I'll do it. He says, great. I want you to go be a hospice volunteer. I said, what's that? He says, oh, good. Call this number, go talk to Ida, she'll train you. And I want you to do whatever she says. I said, okay, great, I'll do that. That brought me back into the whole domain of really understanding where we start and how we get to be when we end. And what do we get to do between those 2 bookends, which will lead me to sharing what I say people are really looking for. And I'll share that last piece in a second. One of the first clients that I ever helped create their life work program was a gentleman named John Bates. John and I did a number of transformational programs together. We did the Landmark Forum together. We were leaders for Landmark Education at one time. He went on to coach, and he still does. He coaches TED Talk speakers, astronauts, different team members for NASA. I went on to change public education. I had the most winning track and field teams, all because I began to understand what transformation is in people's lives and how to create podium moments in their lives. Our lives usually has us be on the podium when we see other people win. And as a teacher, that was the thing. So how many scholar athletes could I create? How many track and field athletes could I get them to be better each season so that they would have that experience? And now, as what I do, how many writers can I get them to get their books done so that I could actually show them what it means to bring a book to life? And we'll talk about the distinction difference of how I say, well, that's not really to life. You brought it to print, but you didn't bring it to life yet. And we'll talk about that difference in a second. One of the things that most of us are always looking for, how do I do this? What about Facebook ads? When do I do organic marketing? How do I do paid marketing? This gentleman right here is named Russell Brunson. How many people have heard of Russell Brunson? Just hold up your physical hand. Anybody here? All right, 2. Well, of course, look at the guys that have businesses around it. Expert Secrets it's a really good book. You may or may not need to go read it, but this is what most of us tend to want to aspire to get to, is what are at least 2 to 3 of those core actions, which they call secrets, that we can consistently do weekly that will move our author business forward. And this is one of the important books that I've read to help me further understand. Now, Russell Brunson is the gentleman who created a program called ClickFunnels. How many of you here have a funnel for your work? Raise your hand. Okay, good. 2 of you. Great. So let's try it a different way. How many of you here have a download my chapter or download the introduction to my book lead magnet? All right, we got 1, we got 2. Excellent, great, wonderful. So those are the type of, we'll call them marketing actions, engagement actions, connection actions that I make sure my clients have. And I'm also going to make sure that by the end of today, you understand the opportunity of that. Because if you really want to get your work out in the world, you gotta get out there. And there is no better time, because we all have this thing called a cell phone that allows us to be global in a moment. But if you're not comfortable with it, or you don't know what to say or how to effectively present yourself so that people know what you're there for, then it makes it a very difficult task to take on. Last 2 pieces here. I believe, as I listen to all of you right now, everybody has their strengths. And one of the things that I got to really discover that as a track and field coach for about almost 25 years, I had distance runners, I had sprinters, I had throwers, I had jumpers, and I had people who wanted to be in the community and had no talent at all. And I had to find a place for them. And then I found their talent was keeping the head coach organized. Their talent was planning the track and field banquet, planning to make sure all the students got on the bus, telling me whose grades were and weren't where they needed to be. Everybody has a strength. If you haven't done, or you haven't went back to your Clifton strengths, I also use Myers-Briggs, and I also use human design, not as much, or Enneagram. I really focus on Myers-Briggs, brand archetype, and Clifton strengths. I invite you to look at your Clifton strengths as well and see how you show up in the world. Because as Carl Jung says, until we make the unconscious conscious, we'll go about doing it in our lives and we'll call it fate. It's just moving things from unconscious to conscious and then choosing to take better actions around them. And I really love the work that comes out of the Clifton strengths. So let's do this. Raise your hand if you could tell me your 3 Clifton strengths right now. All right. Well, let me make sure I'm not missing anybody. Let me scroll up. All right, no problem. Great. So for me, mine is individualization. My number 1 is individualization. My ability to see people for the uniqueness that they are and the difference that they make. Number 2 is woo. Woo is, can you go into a room and engage people and say, let's have a party. Let's go do something like this. How well can you move people? And then the third thing is strategic. My dad taught all of his sons to play chess probably before we learned how to walk. And I just learned to look at the world as a chess game, that if I move this piece, this could happen. If I move this piece, this could happen. So I'm always kind of looking at how do I move my clients and move the world around them and move them in the world so that the best next outcome is available to them. When you start to see the kind of, I don't want to say the blind spots, but the things that you do, but you don't have a description or a definition for them. And now you're able to articulate why you do them and how you could use them better. Books like this and assessments of the Clifton strengths start to make a big difference in how well you're able to articulate and communicate your message. So then the last part about me is in 2013, I'm still teaching at the Los Angeles Zoo High School. And my son is about to go into high school here in the Valley, the San Fernando Valley. And NASA JPL had its education, its outreach education program in the city of Pomona. So a good 45 minutes away from NASA JPL in Pasadena. And I'd been to some of their science retreats and some of their science workshops for teachers. And I knew that they had a position for another outreach teacher. And I told my son, hey, Noah, NASA is hiring for their science teacher position right now to be part of the outreach program. He says, wow, Dad, that's cool. And I thought, I'm going to apply for that, because how great would that be, right? To be the education coordinator for NASA. Now, at the same time, I have a track and field background. And one of my other friends calls me up and says, Chris, are you still coaching track and field? Now, he and I were waiters in Santa Cruz when I went to UC Santa Cruz and studied marine mammals, evolutionary biology. And he calls me up and he says, are you still doing track and field? I said, yeah. He says, hey, look, there's a new company forming and Nike and Under Armour need someone to help them grow the track and field territory in Southern California. Would you like to do that? And so I tell my son, Noah, I also got offered a job to do sales for Nike and Under Armour. He says, Dad, can you get me shoes? And I knew exactly what was going to have me be cool for the next 4 years while he was in high school, because he was a football player, he was a baseball player, he was a multi-sport athlete. And I said, okay, I'm going to go on. I've coached enough other people's kids. I'm done teaching other people's kids. I'm going to take on sales, branding, and marketing with Nike and Under Armour. and I'm going to go ahead and do sales there and be able to coach my kid and give him all the coolest stuff while he's in high school. So I took that road on. The difference it made for me is right before the pandemic, I had an extraordinary pastor. And I would tell him, Pastor, that was such a great talk. Let's put it online. No, Chris, I don't like being online. I don't like Facebook. I don't like none of those things. Now, he was 50 years in the pulpit. He was an old timer out of Indiana. And I would say, Pastor, that was so good. Let's just do some marketing on it. No, I don't want it. Pandemic hits. What do you think he says? Chris, how do I go online? I got you now. So I was able to support him to go online. And then next thing I know, other Sacred Space colleagues of his, because he was so well known, and now they're seeing him online, are saying, hey, Bob, how did you do it? Hey, Bob, can you connect me to Chris? Hey, Bob. So I started a program called Pastor 2.0, Successfully Taking Your Gifts and Talents Online. And I had pastors and Sacred Space leaders from West Coast all the way to Delray Beach, Florida. And I was serving people throughout the Midwest. It was really a brilliant opportunity for me to be able to learn how to move people effectively online and use my branding, my marketing, and my curriculum writing skill sets so that they were going to be that much more effective out there. The thing that they gave me, which is where I want us to start to land the plane and talk about what we do, is they would use words like, Chris, my calling has been. Chris, my mission is about. The work that I'm here to do, my life's work has been about. And I'm like, oh my God, these guys and women all are talking that Maslow's hierarchy of need, that self-actualization, the complete self-efficacy to be able to be clear about making a difference for others. And so one of the questions that I remember hearing when I was doing this is, Chris, do you have a book? Chris, do you have a book? I never needed to write the book that I taught from in school. Few of our teachers actually wrote the books that they taught us from in school. We just had to be great facilitators of the content that was there and be able to deliver it in such a way that someone else could take an action from it and implement it into their life. But I saw what the opportunity was. And then my years of being transformational coaching, being in the back of the rooms of Landmark Education, I've been trained by Tony Robbins. I've been trained by Brendan Burchard. I also did the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. I really started seeing that what people want to do in this world is they want to be able to live out their life work. And we look for the vehicles and we look for the mediums and we look for the opportunities of what's going to have us live our life work. So for me, my persons that I love to best support are the ones who are willing to say, this is what I'm here to do. This is the gift that I have. And this is the mission. This is the message that I want people to know about themselves. And they're willing to go all in on it. So that I wanted to give you that whole experience. I didn't just want to give you a sliver about myself, because you are a whole experience. Your book or your process or the marketing that you do is usually an outcome of the commitment that you have for others. And if you tend to lead with book, or you just tend to lead with service, but you don't really articulate your commitment, then people don't hear, can I lock arms with you? Will you be with me inside of scary swamp? Will you walk with me through fearful forest? Because that's where many of us find ourselves. So I really wanted to make sure that you started to see in this opportunity where you're at. So the first question I'm going to ask someone, or ask for a couple of you, is what is your commitment to others that has you do what you're doing right now as a writer, as an editor, or as an author? So again, what is your commitment to others that has you doing as a writer, editor, marketer, or publisher to others? My commitment is that other people have their podium moments in their lives. Said in a spiritual way, I bring the light out in others. So who has an idea? Chris, this is my commitment that I have such that it makes me a writer, it makes me an editor, it makes me a marketer? Who's got that answer? Or at least wants to take a stab at it? Okay, Dave, go for it. And then I also saw Elizabeth. Beautiful.
So this has been kind of a pivot for me from my previous 8 years as a business owner. But my mission in life is to eradicate death by PowerPoint from the face of the earth and help people learn how to be concise, precise, and fun and engaging.
Wow. Okay, so let's eliminate the death by PowerPoint part. Say it again, please.
Everything except that?
Yeah.
My mission is to help people be fun and engaging in their presentations and learn how to be precise and concise in their writing and their speaking.
Very good. And so the shortest one is, say it again, Dave. My mission is to have people be what?
Concise, precise, and enticing.
Very good. Your business brain took over. Come from the heart. Come from the heart. My mission is to have people be what?
Help them be fun and engaging when they have to present to people so that they make an impact.
Okay, okay, you came back to heart. I'll take it. Very good. I help people. My mission is to help people be fun and engaging so that they can have the impact, so that they can make the impact they want to make.
Yes.
Period. And then, how do you do that, Dave? Well, I help them be, what do you say, concise?
Precise and enticing.
Concise, precise, and enticing. That's great. And in doing that, it's a death to PowerPoint. I would leave that part last. I would always open up, you know, Dave, what's your favorite band growing up, or any band? Like if they were on tour right now, you would pay money to go see them. What band is that?
This is a little embarrassing. ABBA.
Okay, great. And what's your favorite 2 songs by ABBA?
Oh God.
Mamma Mia.
Thank you for the music.
Okay.
And probably Dancing Queen, I guess.
Oh yeah, absolutely, Dancing Queen. So imagine you go to an ABBA concert and they don't play Dancing
Thank you
Queen.
for the music. Yeah.
Or thank you for the music. Would you feel a little incomplete?
Yes.
You would. Here's the thing that we forget. People want to know us for the thing that we get, people want to know us for how we light them up. They don't want to know us for the thing that we don't do, right? So when someone says to, let's say Kathy's having a conversation with Cornelia, and Kathy says to Cornelia, yeah, it doesn't feel as fun or engaging. Cornelia's like, wait, there's this guy in my San Diego group. That's all he does is he helps people be more fun and engaging. Let me connect you to him. Play your hits. What I'm talking to is play your hits. And we often think, because the ego says to us, no one wants to hear you say that again. Why do we pay money to bands to go hear them play the same stinking song over and over and over and over? If it wasn't because it connected us to something that brings us joy, it brings us fulfillment, it takes us back to another time or place where we feel enlivened by it. Find that part, and I think you hit on it right there, Dave. I help, is it authors, speakers, experts? Who do you best like to work with?
Junior and mid-grade professionals, executives, future executives.
Okay, perfect. Then I would say I help executives be more fun and engaging. They're so stiff. They're so micromanaging. When I go in and perform with them, they come up and they're all, yeah, so today's KPIs and metrics that we're going to work about and our measurements have shown. I'm like, God, no wonder no one's willing to perform underneath you. You're right there. I would work to refine that, because when you say it, your face also gets brighter too. That was the thing. I noticed that. So start with that and then unfold it into the rest of the conversation. But people will remember, well, what about Dave? Oh yeah, he helps people be more fun and engaging. Oh, I could use some of that in my life. How many people here, raised by show of hands, would like to be more fun and engaging about the work that they're doing? right? Because we know that there's an element where we get all caught up about it. We make it about ourselves and we're afraid. Dave, you got a superpower. Let it loose. Great job. It's fantastic. Thank you. Yeah, Elizabeth, you're welcome. How about for you, Elizabeth? What's that commitment that has you do what you're doing through book publishing? Your book, it's black with white. I forgot the name. It has a P on it. What is it?
Flourishing.
Flourishing. That's not a P.
It's classical inspiring poetry that's won awards for inspiration. And it's a parallel reader so that each line you learn French without a dictionary.
Okay, so what's your commitment?
But that was going to be my last book, but my new project is called Aspire, and it's stories of mentoring, and my commitment is based upon the fact that I burned out of education and out of law and didn't know what to do with my life at 45. And my Episcopal priest mentor.
Okay, so I'm going to stop you because I've got my coach whistle on right now. I'm a bit back to the starting line. What's your commitment? I don't want to know anything else. What is your commitment to people? I get that what you were sharing was how you arrived to the commitment. But this is the performance part, because if someone asks you walking down the street, hi, this is San Diego TV, and what's your name? My name's Elizabeth. That's fantastic, Elizabeth. Tell me about your book. It's called Aspire. Is that what you said?
To empower people to deal with problems in ways that will become that are inherent to them. I need to say that better. I teach creative problem through acrostics, through poetry that will make them remember the skills that they learned when they took all these corporate courses and embed them in their lives. And I want them to start at the age of 5 so that when they have a problem.
Okay, stop. Thank you very much. Thank you for allowing me to have the grace to do that. I empower people to use the tools they already have.
I'm sorry?
I empower people to use the tools they already have.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay, good.
Short version, yes. Okay.
Hi, Elizabeth. My name's Chris. I'm here on Mission Beach today. We're just interviewing people walking by. What do you do? Or how about this? Yeah, what do you do? First, I want you to say, what do you want to say? Are you an author and a coach? How do you introduce yourself normally?
I'm an author and publisher.
I'm an author and publisher. Oh, that's fantastic. You're an author and publisher. Tell me about that. And this is when you say,
I teach folks to use the skills they already have.
That's amazing. Wow. Tell me more about that. The golden drawbridge came down. Now you run all of your people across that drawbridge mindfully, right? We don't want to fire hose them, but you keep just sending in little waves of what you do. Andrea, you got to go. All right, Andrea, thank you. I see that. We will be in contact. Thank you very much. All right, one more person. I'd love to hear. Okay, Rose and Elizabeth, did that land for you?
I'm sorry?
Did that work for you?
Yes, thank you. Thanks very much.
Thank you. And thanks for giving me the permission to put on my coaching hat for a second. Rose, how about for you? Editor extraordinaire.
All right. So the slightly longer version to start with would be, I like to take writers at absolutely any level, make them glow and make them believe in themselves and start cheering for their own talents that they didn't know they have.
Great. So what's your commitment in there? I heard process too, right? So every commitment has a process and every process has a promise of an outcome. So what's your commitment to people first? Let's see if we could distill that one down.
To take, I'll call it a green writer, a beginning writer, and to make them glow and be proud of themselves and have an amazing product.
Wow. How many people here would like to glow and know that you have an amazing product when it finally hits the shelves or gets out in the world? I help writers produce an amazing product that helps them glow. I think the glow needs to come after. We could refine it, we could workshop it more, but so I'm gonna come up with a song that's from my generation of the 80s, and it's Janet Jackson's What Have You Done For Me Lately? Dun, 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 dun. But it really is the nature of human being. We want to talk about us, and the person listening is going, yeah, but what are you gonna do for me? Do you have something that's gonna make a difference for me, right? So Janet Jackson was spot on. What have you done for me lately? So you want to frame that part about what are they going to get out of it. So tell me again. Hi, this is Chris coming in from Mission Beach. We're interviewing different San Diegans here today. What's your name, ma'am?
My name is Rose.
Hi, Rose. It's a pleasure to have you. What do you do here in San Diego?
I take I take beginner writers and polish them up and make them glow, be proud of themselves. That was too long.
No, that was okay. You went to glow, and you just didn't say with a product, with a finished product they could be proud of that has them glowing. Yeah.
I take authors and help them make a book, help them polish a book that makes them glow.
Yes. Beautiful. Okay, great. Mark, thank you. I want to take you on a magical adventure that leaves you wanting more. Not bad. Not bad. Distill it down and distill it down a little bit more, Mark, to be a little bit more concrete. Rose, that was great. So here's my invitation to all of you right now is, what is your commitment? And I want you to put it into the chat. We're going to knock Carla's socks off that when she reads this chat while she's in Hawaii, and David and I send it to her, she's gonna be like, oh my gosh, look at the commitment of this. So everyone, let's put all of our commitments into the chat right now. I'm committed to entertain people. I love it. I write about women who become their own heroes. I'm committed to having women see themselves as their own heroes, to make a more perfect union. I'm committed to have who be a more perfect union, Luis, humanity, couples, ourself with our highest purpose. Mark, I'm committed that people experience life as a magical adventure. Or I'm committed that people, it's something like that, Mark, because it still exists outside of you. I empower dog lovers to have a relationship they've always dreamed of with their dogs. Yes, Linda, and we want to shorten up. I empower dog lovers to empower dog lovers to have the dream relationship with their dogs. I empower dog lovers. I empower dog lovers to have dream relationships with them. There's something there. I got to work that one through. It's in that zone. I'm committed to entertaining people. Yeah. Wow. All right, Mark. There we go. I help mid-level professionals be more fun and engaging so they can make a bigger impact. Oh, killer. Outstanding, Dave. I want to help people publish beautiful books. Oh my gosh. Yes, Cornelia. I'm committed to make people love art. We can't make people do things. We've all heard, as much as I want you to do, I want you to drink from this water horse. I can't, but I could definitely show you. I'm committed to showing people the beauty of art. I'm committed to engaging more people to love art. And what does that do? What's the next level of being inspired by it and entering the realm of creativity? I'm committed that art inspires what? And creativity through art. It's right in that zone, Cornelia. You got to work it. A teacher is a compulsive sharer, so I'm a teacher. I'm right there with you, Caroline. The lessons in life that's there. So I'm committed that life is a series of lifelong lessons. Kind of what I heard from that, Caroline. My commitment is to elevate a new author's story and make them glow. Wow, Rose, look at that. Look who just dialed it in right now. Yes. Well done. Really, really well done. Everybody, I am just moved by all of you right now. Okay, Dave, I think we're supposed to do a little bit of Q&A and make sure I land this plane by noon. But the magic for me is over with all of you. That's what I really wanted to be with today, and to show you that when you shift the work that you have and you make it about the audience, and then you keep speaking that about the audience, the ones that are listening for what you have, they'll show up. I am more of a solution-centric service provider. It's like this. Who likes barbecue? I'm cooking barbecue. All right, great. Penn Wallace, come over. We're doing barbecue. But see, if you're a vegan and you like not barbecue, you'd be like, yeah, that's not my booth. Rather than going out and looking for the specifics of, I'm going to look for Abby. She's 65 and she has 3 grandkids and she's divorced and she's lost one of her sisters or her husband. Like that used to be the old way of looking for avatars. The way now, because what social media and online has given us, is you're able to show up and say, I do barbecues. I help people be more fun and engaging. I help people create better relationships with their dogs. I have cats. Well, then you're not my person. Let them find you by you just going out there and playing your drum, playing your song, playing Dancing Queen, playing whatever song it is that you play. Before I come on, I always play a song, usually by Queen. And it's usually Don't Stop Me Now, or It's the Kind of Magic. I love Queen. Those are my favorite songs. Yeah, who's that? Rose too? Okay, great. Right? Okay. You could tell I'm a complete introvert. It's very hard to get me to talk and to share. I apologize. I know we're coming on noon, and I want to be responsible for us ending by noon. I'm willing to go to 12:10. If anybody has to leave at noon, we could do that. But I just want to make sure if there's some last final questions specific to what you're looking for, that we could address a couple of those. How about that? Dave, is that okay with you?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. All right, great. Rose, go ahead.
I have a question. I mean, because you're a marketing guy, I mean, could somebody like me literally just go, hi, I have a book, it's edited, it's polished. Can you help me? And you would be the person that would do it?
I'm a marketing guy, yes.
So you could take my book from start to finish, and that's what you focus on. And obviously obviously for a fee, but like that's really exciting.
Yeah. So here I want you all to really kind of get what I do best. My curriculum writing years gave me a skill set to be able to take the most important things out of someone's life and out of a book, and then to create programs from it. And then being in the back of the room for Tony Robbins, being in the back of the room for some of the most extraordinary leaders in landmark education, Brandon Burchard, I watch how human beings operate and what they're listening for. And I say there's the core human injuries. We all want to be heard, we want to be loved, we want to be safe, we want to be seen, and we want to be acknowledged. And when one of those things is missing, we're usually trying to solve it in our lives, or we're trying to figure it out. So when I get authors, I like to pick them up right about, if this is a third, you're starting, you're kind of got your first draft done, your manuscript is complete, and now you're about to publish. I like to meet them right about here in that second third, because then I come in and I say, okay, can I move your reader from your book to your platform? Can I take your reader and platform meaning, can I move them to your LinkedIn page? Can I move them to your Facebook community? Can I move them to your website? Great. Now that I got them there, do I have a funnel? Do I have a lead magnet that allows me now to get their email address so that you could add them onto your list and then say, for those of you that have my book, thank you so much for buying it. And because you have my book, I'm going to give you 20% off of any of my services. Just reach out to me. Something like that. So I was at the Kauai Writers Conference 2 years ago, and I was sitting there watching all these writers talk to these agents. And this one woman says, you should never publish without an agent, because if the book doesn't go over well, no agent's going to want you after that. And I watched all these shoulders that were listening intensely just go, and their heads, and it was like the shrug of, shoot, I will never be. And I thought, who in the hell are you to tell people not to publish their book? Because in the age of self-publishing, now I am going to tell you, I want the integrity of a well-written book. You can get your book out there and you don't need to wait for an agent. There are so many online coaches and consultants that did the book after they made their first 100,000, they made their first multi-100,000s. My coach that I follow, her name's Kelly Roach, she's extraordinary. I'd invite you to find her on LinkedIn. She saved her book till after she had already crossed, I think it was like the $2 or $3 million level of getting her work done. And then she went back and she wrote about her work, she captured it, and then she published her book. And she's like, Chris, I don't care if I get an agent or I don't get an agent. I'm impacting lives. I'm an 8-figure earner now, and I continue to do what I love. I'm not hung up about agents. It's just a different mindset. The paradigm of books, of this sacred cow that it used to be, that the book is for experience only and we can't do certain things, those days are done. If the book in and of itself was really to have made the difference, we wouldn't have the problems in the world that we have. We wouldn't have the fragmented thinking in the world that we have. So obviously books are great, but in and of themselves, without you bringing your book to life and teaching the lessons of your book, that's what's missing. So that's where I'm an advocate for, that we build that confidence and we get it out there. So Rose, thank you for that. Someone else? Question? Yes, websites, absolutely. Linda, you've got all the right parts. Happy to talk to you about that as well. Especially if you got universities, also please.
How can I reach out to you? I really am, I have this 85,000 member Facebook group that's very active, and I just don't know how to get them to read my book.
That's the paradigm right there.
Pardon me?
I apologize. I get so excited and I step over people when I get too excited. My apologies. How can I get them to read my book? That was your question, right?
Yeah, that's why I created the group, and it's just exploded, but they're all talking to each other and my moderators, and they're not reading the book.
That's okay. That's okay. Look at the other day, someone said, Chris, if I sold 1,000 books, I'd be so happy. And I said, okay, let's do the math. What's your royalties on that? She's like, about $7. I'm like, okay, that's great. That's $7,000. Awesome. What if we created a program out of your 3 best chapters in your book, and we sold 100 of those at $2,000 each? Do the math to that. And she's like, oh, because the paradigm of books is sell books. The paradigm that I say is it's books and it really is you. Mm-hmm. So yes, Linda, would I like for them to read your book? Sure, but unless you are truly an end-to-end book reader, most of us just are reading now because we're so inundated with stuff. We don't have the time to sit, to read all the way through for that pure enjoyment. And if your book is something about learning, we're writing in the margins and we're trying to get the most important information and we're skipping through it. I would focus more on creating the program of your book and creating some videos around some of your leading chapters and work more on the monetization than read my book. Because even if they read your book, you can't measure it. Book sales is a metric of sales. It's not a metric of impact. Right? Book sales is absolutely a metric of sales, not a metric of impact. And if impact is what you want, you've got to deliver that. Okay, last question. Well, no, I'm sorry, it's 12:05. So we got just, I got time for 2 more, and I'll keep it tight because I see people leaving. Anybody else? Oh, yes, Miss Elizabeth. Flourishing.
My name is really long. How about this? Hi, I'm Elizabeth. My friends call me E. E is what my program does. It enriches lives through literature. It also effectively teaches people to use skills they really have.
When would you like to use that? Where would you use that?
I suppose at the beginning of a speech.
So at the beginning of the speech, you're engaging with either a story that's crafted to engage your audience, or you want to distill it down to that $1 million message. Hi, my name's Luis. I create, and I'm here to create more perfect unions between what 2 types of people, Luis?
You're talking to Luis.
Yeah. I'm trying to have him be an example. Then Luis, you got to come off mute. We're going to see now, even performance-wise, I need you to use that mute button, unmute. All right, so Elizabeth, try it again and go just, my name's Elizabeth, and I really don't start with, I don't like starting that way, but we're going to use it right now. My name's Elizabeth, and I what?
And I help people use their skills more effectively.
Perfect. A lot of my friends call me E.
Yes.
Then you drop that after.
Syllables, you know?
Yeah. Then you put it in after, but don't come out with it first. It's a lot for people. When we buy appetizers, we're expecting some small bites on a plate. And then that's going to determine if we want to order more of something. Give me the appetizer, Elizabeth. Don't give me the whole entree with that opening statement. Okay. Yeah. All right, Luis, more perfect. Yes, more perfect. Yeah. Who?
Okay, I hear you. Do you hear me?
Now I got you.
Yes. I'm sorry. I have tinnitus, so I didn't hear your question.
Oh, my apologies. Okay, so I help people. Hi, my name's Luis, and I help people form more perfect unions.
Hi, my name is Luis, and I'm interested in Americans knowing what is taking place with the U.S. territories, where
is that true?
You know, it's so much that I'm trying to do, but I'm trying to. The foundation is from having served. Okay, having paid the price, I have 2 Purple Hearts, and I'm trying to speak to find a voice. And I say the more perfect union because people in the U.S. territories, during the Vietnam War.
I see. Okay, got it. So you're talking about the union, the states of the union. Okay, clear. My apologies. When I heard union, I thought like a union between wife and husband, something like that. Got it, Luis. We'll dive into that one later.
It's a big one.
You have a bigger mission.
Oh, yeah. It's big.
Okay, got that. Caroline, how about for you? And I still see Jeanette, you're here. If anybody's off camera, I just want you to share any last takeaway, anything you want to refine, and then we'll land this plane.
I'm looking forward to continue to communicate with everybody.
Right on. And I saw you put your info in the chat, Luis. Thank you for doing that. Everybody's going to get the copy of the chat.
Yeah. Were you calling on me?
Yes, I was.
Yes.
I never heard your commitment. What's your commitment?
Oh, my commitment is, I guess, as a teacher, I have sort of 2 goals. And one is that all my life, I have been raised with, have lived with the idea that everything sort of stops at age 30. Never trust anybody over 30, you know, that kind of thing. Well, guess what? Life just gets better and better as you get older. I found that. And so my books are pointed at saying, hey, you can be 60 years old and have a lot of fun, fall in love, go through adventures, meet new people, do new things. That's kind of the commitment. The second commitment in the books all the way through is multicultural. And that I think one of the major problems in our country is that we haven't finished the Civil War yet. And people have to just say, hey, there are lots of people out there who are really different from me and they're just fine. It doesn't make a difference. So, but that hopefully is subtle enough that people don't feel like they're being preached to. I do have a question for you.
Okay, let's do the question because those two need refining for sure. What's your question?
The question is your approach to fiction different than your approach to nonfiction in terms of promoting?
It depends, right? Like if you're George Lucas, J.K. Rowling, Tolkien, C.S. Lewis, then there's lessons in your fiction that I could transfer to the life journey. But if your fiction is so out there and it's so into the narrative and the story and the characters, I don't play in those waters. So I really got to know what it's about. And I mean, right? Like Star Wars, we could all find something in Star Wars.
ROBTLUNDY.
There we go. Thank you for that question. Okay. Dave, let's officially land this plane. What do you say?
Yep, let's do it. Chris, I love everything you were saying. I think it's so important for us to kind of read our audience. And what I always think about when I meet someone for the first time is, do I want to, talk for are they asking me a question where I'm going to be expected to talk for 2 or 3 minutes, or do I want to give them a short piece of information? And if they're interested, they'll ask, tell me more. And I think that's what I've learned in my life is try to come at things with a little more, kind of thinking about that other person or what they're interested in. Because some people ask that just out of being polite. And you don't know where that's really going to go. But I think if you, like you say, crystallize that message, get that into the first part of what you're sharing, I think you open up a lot more opportunities.
100%, Dave. Thank you for that. And thank you for the work that you do. We'll stay on and we'll talk about that for a second. Ladies and gentlemen, I have, and thank you for the acknowledgments that I see in the chat. Again, I will make sure that I work with Dave. We will talk about how we're going to get this back to you. We're going to tell Carla, thank you so much. And we hope she is enjoying Hawaii, and let her know if you enjoyed this session with me today.
Thank you for taking the time to spend with us and going over a little bit extra too. And thank you all the audience for being with us all the way here. We're even down to 10 people. So that's great. I've saved the chat. I'll work with Carla. I know you have the recording, Chris. I'm not sure if I'm saving or you, but we'll get them together and make that available via the next newsletter to everyone.
Wonderful.
So that's it.
Wonderful.
Yeah. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Great. Have a great weekend. Watch the Olympics.
Bye all.
Bye now. See you.
Okay. We're over and out.
All right. I'll go ahead and if you want to move Roy and Jeanette to a breakout room, I'll see if I can't move them myself right now.
Yeah, try that.
There we go. Roy left. Bye, Jeanette. Look forward to following up with you.
Bye. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. It was great, Chris. It was really great. I'd actually like to get in touch with you.
Please, did you get my information? Do you want me to say it again right now? Do you want me to put it?
Yeah, because I wasn't online when you gave it.
Oh, very good. Then here we go. It is, I should have said you can find me at Chris Trammell Coaching, but here it is. CT@Chris. And it's going to come out to everybody who is here as well. Coaching.
CT, did you say CT@Chris?
It's right there in the chat. CT@ChrisTrammellCoaching.com. is my direct email. You'll get past all of my gatekeepers by emailing that one.
Okay. I'm trying to find the chat right now. I don't see it.
I saved it as well.
Is your emails in the chat? What's your email, Jeanette?
Okay, DR for doctor,
Yes.
DRJ, and then VOS, V for Victor, O for Octopus, S for Sam, at iCloud.com.
Perfect.
Yeah,
I just put
email
that.
me. That would be great.
Great. We've got it right there in
Okay,
our chat,
good.
and we'll do that.
Okay, thank you very much. It was really
You're
lovely
welcome.
to talk.
Thank you. Have a beautiful day.
Thank
Great.
you.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Jeanette.
All right, well, let's go ahead. And thank you for sharing what you do, David. You have a really nice, robust program as well that you serve authors and writers with. And let's do this. I'm going to stop the recording now. That'll be good. Bye, everybody.